Hello everyone, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. So here we have a new video for you today, and this is going to be a video of my take on using these masks. These are the one-man army masks, and this is the set for the Hawker Hurricane in 1/32 scale, designed for the Revell kit. And as you can see, it's a full set of masks, including all the insignia, all the registration numbers, everything there, and also includes all the stencils. So I'm going to do a video on how I go about using these. Now, it's not just going to cover bang, 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 bang. It's going to be 4 different methods, and we're going to look at these roundels that go on the side of the fuselage. These are the most difficult to produce because you've got 4 colours. So I'm going to produce these in 4 different ways, and then we'll look at the outcome and we'll see what you think of the results. And then you can decide what you think is the best. Now, I've got a wing I've prepared here. This is the Heinkel 111 wing for 32nd scale Revell. We did the paint chipping test. So I've come along this morning and I've given it a coat of grey primer. This is MRP grey primer. Beautiful primer, goes down very, very nicely. 2 downsides to it. It's very thin and it absolutely stinks, but you can see the finish is lovely. And then here we've got a mock sort of camouflage pattern. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use a method whereby we are going to apply the roundel actually before we put the camouflage on. So we're going to apply the roundel and then mask it off and apply the camouflage. And then over here we're going to use 3 different methods of actually applying the roundel over the camouflage. So here this will be your modelling primer. You may have pre-shaded it, whatever, and then you'll do your roundel and then mask it off and do your camouflage. Here this will be, you've painted your model, it's all done, and now you're going to put your markings on just as if you were going to use decals. Some people may ask, why do you do this rather than use decals? Various reasons. You can control the colour. Obviously when you have decals, how many times have we heard people say the red was too bright, the blue was too dark, the red and the blue were too bright? You know, here you control the colour yourself. You can control the weathering, the bleaching, how much wear there is on the decals. You get the painted on look. People always talk about the painted on look. We all know that it's sometimes with a lot of decals, particularly Tamiya, Hobby Boss, very difficult to get them to conform into the fine detail of panels like this. Whereas when you paint them on, you actually get the painted on look because it's painted on. So basically going forward, that's what we're going to do. Now, there's a couple of caveats to this I want to go through, because believe it or not, sometimes I make these videos, and I'll give you a perfect example. Once I did on this very wing, I did a video on how to get a cast effect using Mr. Surfacer, and I showed you that brushing it on and then stippling it and using, you know, different levels of stippling and then going in with leveling thinners afterwards, you could soften the effect and all that. And somebody actually asked, why are you showing us how to do cast effects on an aircraft wing? I've never known an aircraft wing being made of cast. That's what I'm dealing with here. Okay, so colour accuracy. I'm going to be using out of the pot Tamiya colours for doing this. I'm not going to be mixing any special RAF insignia reds or anything like that. I'm just going to use yellow, white and blue, okay, and red. So please don't comment on the colours I'm using. Please don't comment on the colours here. Please don't comment on the camouflage pattern. I mean, it's a Heinkel 111 for God's sake, so you know what I mean. So please don't talk about that. There are people out there that will say you've got the position of the roundel wrong. Believe it or not, there are. Please don't comment that the position of the roundel is wrong. This is literally think of this as a square piece of plastic card, and I'm just showing you how to do it. I could have done it on a piece of plastic card, but why waste plastic card when I got this here? So the position on the wing, there's going to be one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So, you know, there's going to be no doubt whatsoever to the enemy that this is definitely an RAF aircraft. So as I said, I'm going to use 4 different approaches to do the roundels, and that's going to be these roundels here. I'm not going to bother with these here. These are the underside of the wings, because there's 3 colours there. You know, this is 4 colours. This is going to be the same thing. It's just this is slightly more difficult because we have the 4 colours. So I'm going to use 4 different attempts at doing that and show you the different ways I do it. And then I'm going to do 2 different attempts at doing these roundels here. So we'll do the 4 first and then we'll do the 2 after. I'll do a lot of painting off camera. I don't see the need to be sat here showing you how to airbrush. I will give you a couple of instant tips about using these masks and how to paint and everything, or how I paint, sorry. I never do how-to videos, I do how I do it videos, okay? So basically that's, that's what we're going to be doing. Now then, in this video we're going to cover some things that I've talked about in my reviews and people have asked questions about, and that is transfer tape. You can see down here we've got transfer tape, we've got circles cut, we've got squares cut in different types of tape. They're going to be our transfer tapes. We're going to cover weeding. We're going to weed on the sheet, we're going to weed on the model. So you're going to see basically how that all goes, and we're going to use, I've never tried it, but I'm going to try it on camera, see if it works. I'm going to use transfer tape under transfer tape to help with the weeding effect. So we'll see how that goes as well. And basically, at the end of the day, the secret to all this is practice. Now, when you get these sets, you always get extras. And as you can see here, as I can't remember if I mentioned already, I've already done this video. And it was a complete and utter mess, so I've decided to do it again. And you can see down here, I've used 3 of the roundel outers here, I've used 2 of the roundel inners, I've used 1 of the main roundels and the wing roundels and 1 of the wing roundels there. But I'm going to go again and do this all again. So luckily Sven sends me enough so that I've got enough samples to mess around with, and I'll show you the sort of effects we can get. This is what I've done already. So there we are, and there's 3 methods of roundel there, and I've decided on a 4th one while I was actually doing this. So what we're going to do is go through it. Now, I'm sure what you would like me to do is do A complete, do B complete, do C complete, and do D complete. If I were to do that, that means spraying white, removing a mask, cleaning the airbrush, changing the colour, spraying yellow, removing the mask, changing the colour. If I do that, I'm going to be forever cleaning my airbrush out, and it's going to be such a waste of paint. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do A, B, C and D, which will be the 4 different versions of roundel, and we'll mark on the wing A, B, C and D, and that's going to be our 4 different versions, 4 different ways about achieving the same effect, and we'll see what the differences are. And the reason I'm doing that is I can basically start by doing I can apply the masks, and then I can do all the white, okay, and then we can come along and perhaps do all the yellow, and then come back and perhaps do all the blue, and then do all the red. And that's what I'm going for. If I have to do a couple of chops and changes, I will, but please bear with me. At the end of the video, what we'll do is we'll go through the different methods, what I've done, how I achieved the result, and which I think is the best. And I'm sure that you will agree, because as I said, I've already done this once and I know which one I think is the best before I even start. So please bear with me. Let's get started. Any questions, you can stick them down below. And as I say, this isn't exactly live, but it's live to me. I'm not, I've got a few spares I can go back and edit and stuff like that, which I did in the first video. You can see I got a quest there. I started the video and completely messed up on the first one. But basically, yeah, I'm going to cover 4 different methods, call them A, B, C and D, and I'm going to do them all concurrently, so we're not forever changing the airbrush over. Okay, so and then if you want to, at the end of the day, if you all want to vote on the one you think is the best, then maybe I can do another video and just cover that method, the most popular one, so we can do one mask rather than be darting around all over the place. So bear with me, sit back, get a cup of tea, can of beer. This is going to be a long one. The last one I did was over an hour, but now that I've done it once, I think it should come a bit quicker. We shall see. But you can imagine if I did each one individually, it'd probably be about 3 or 4 hours. So let's sit back and enjoy. Right, the main thing about all this, let's have a bit of fun. Okay, so let's get us stuck in. So we're going to start up here with A. All right, so A, we're going to fit the outer only. Now, what I'm going to do here, A is going to be, we're going to paint the whole thing white, and then we're going to build the colours up on top of it. So that's going to be A. And then B, we're going to do the same thing, but we're not going to actually do the whole thing white. We're just going to spray in the area that's white, and then carry on the same as we are with this one. And this will show you the difference in having colours built up. C is going to be doing each individual colour with no overlap. So basically we will remove the white, paint the white, replace the white, remove the blue, paint the blue, replace the blue, that sort of thing. So with A, I want to fit the outer only, and I don't want to fit the inner. So I want the outer to act as a mask to achieve a perfect white circle on the model. So what we're going to do is come along and take one of these circles. These are 25mm in diameter, and these are Tamiya 40mm tape, and I've cut them with a circle cutter. And I'm going to place this roughly central. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to place that on there. Okay, just like so. What I'll do is I'll do A, and then I'll go off camera and do B, because it's going to be exactly the same thing. And then I'll come back and do C. So this one is going to be A. So we can put on here A. Now, the thing to always remember with these masks, obviously this is on a piece of scrap, it doesn't matter. But if it's on your model, you want to be able to remove it easily, especially if it's been on there for a couple of days and you don't want to scratch any paint. So what I do, I have a little pieces of scrap masking tape down here. And what I do is just lift the lower left corner, and then I'm going to pick this masking tape up on the knife, just like so. I've just noticed there's some red paint in there, there's proof that I've already done it. So I'm going to put that piece of masking tape underneath the tape like that. So now what we have is a corner that's not sticking down. It's easy to lift. Okay. Then I'm going to take my 32mm square pre-cut transfer tape. I could have cut all this on camera, but you know that would have been really exciting to watch, wouldn't it? So I've got a 32mm square piece of transfer tape. So I'm going to place that over there, and I'm just going to push around the outside edge. I'm not going to push around the centre. And I'm hoping that transfer tape is going to allow me to lift this and just remove the outer. So we can come under here now and lift, and as you can see it's taking away one ring. I don't know if you can see that, but what I've got here, as you can see, it's lifting the ring underneath, which is the yellow colour. So I want that to stay down. So what I'm going to do is just push that down, and you can see it's lifting the blue as well. So it's got hold of the transfer tape. And what we could do then, use a rule. Where's my rule gone? It was here just now. Mr. Unprepared as usual. There it is. I've put it away. And what you do is use a rule and push that down and hold that down in the centre and peel this off. And now what you can see is we have a perfect circle and a perfect circle in there. We haven't disturbed anything on the masking sheet. So now we can place this in position. Now, if this was an American stars and bars, obviously the orientation would be important, but with a roundel it's not, so it doesn't have to be square and everything. So I'm just going to plonk this down roughly in the position we want it in. Obviously on your model you would be a lot more fussy than me about where it goes. So I'm just going to lay that down like that and then push it down on the outside edge. Okay, so now that's gone down. And now we can come along with our remove our transfer tape, which will come off easily. Just like so. Okay, and then we can put that back down over there. We can use that again. Now, the reason you use transfer tape is to keep the shape. If I just peeled this off, it would go all over the place. It wouldn't stay dead round. So that's why you use the transfer tape. You will sometimes get a little bit of movement, and if that's the case, so be it. We'll have to deal with it. But the thing is, if you're taking the whole thing off, okay, which I'm going to do here for C, we're going to remove everything. So I'm not going to bother with that disc in the center. I'm just going to put this here. Okay, what we'll do is we'll mark these B and C. Okay, so I can put this transfer tape on here, push it down nice and firmly. Okay, on a hard surface, always push it down firmly on a hard surface. Let's get this one out of the way. I'm going to lift the lower left hand corner, get my piece of scrap masking tape, stick that under there. Okay, and now I should find that when I lift this up, the whole thing comes away, and as you can see we've got the whole mask all stuck as one. And that's the reason we use the transfer tape, is to get everything off together, keep it round, keep it shape and everything. And it's very important. Now I think I'll do C down here and I'll do B over here. So this is going to be C. So we can push this down, and I'm going to rub it down. I'm not pushing too hard. And then I'm going to try and remove the transfer tape without removing any of those discs in the middle. And as you can see, it's come away beautifully. Now, the reason we use transfer tape, as I say, is to retain the shape. The reason transfer tape works is because this glossy brown surface on here does not adhere well to the adhesive on the masking tape. So the transfer tape can pick up the masking tape from that, because the adhesion of the transfer tape to the mask is stronger than the adhesion of the mask to the tape, to the brown paper. When you put it on your model, the adhesion of the masking tape to the model is much better than the transfer tape to the tape. So that's why when you remove the transfer tape on here, it brings it all away. When you remove it on here, it doesn't. So I hope that people have got confused with that in the past. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go and do the same on this one as I did with A. I'm going to put this disc in the center to hold all the center together in one piece. I'm going to put a piece of scrap masking tape under that corner, and then I'm going to remove the outer and put that on there. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so we've got those three down. And obviously I'm not putting this one down because this one is going to be painted white first. So what we're going to do is paint a whole area white and then mask over that. And with this one we're going to paint the whole thing white. With this one we're only going to paint the center white. With this one we're going to actually individually remove each ring and paint the colour where that ring should be. And then it's like here, I'll remove the ring where the white is, and then as soon as I've painted the white, I'll put that ring back and then remove the next ring. This is my least preferred method, and we'll see why at the end, I think. But this may be the one that people will go for, but honestly, you get a much better effect with the other three. So we need to carefully come in here, very carefully remove this section of the center. Now you get lots of spares. As you can see, we've got three here, okay, with the full complete square around the outside, and we've got another three here, if you can make them out. We've got another three there, so we've got plenty of spares. So if you do mess it up, tear it, whatever, it's okay. It's not the end of the day. Okay, so we're going to remove the white one there, and then we can just stick that on there, just gently, ready for it to go back down when it needs to. Now what we could do is remove the center as well, okay, because that's going to be red. That defeats the object. The whole objective of this one is to show you what happens if you remove one mask and paint one colour. All the others are going to be faded. So what I'm ready to do now is paint the white. Now I'm not going to do any spraying on camera. I am going to show you something, a few tips. Spray that again. The other thing we have to look at here, obviously this is a piece of scrap so it doesn't matter, but in the world of your model being built professionally, you want to be able to cover the areas where you don't want paint going, and for that I use this. This you can get anywhere on Amazon or whatever. It's about $5.99 a roll, cheap as chips. You also sometimes see it in Lidl and Aldi for pennies. So what I do is use this for rough mask, and it can be used time and time again. Okay, so what we can do is come down here, cover that area there, come across here, because I want to get these fairly decent because we're going to leave these on for the duration of the job. So that one can go there, and then we'll get a nice square end on this one, and that one can go there. So as you can see, we can move along, okay, and just get all that masked up. Okay, so I just want to quickly show you with your painting, when you're actually going up to the edge of the mask, like we're going to do with this one and this one, make sure right before you spray, sometimes it's good to use a cotton bud, just go round and make sure the edge of the mask has gone down, particularly this area where there's panel lines and stuff like that. Just make sure it's gone down. Okay, doesn't matter so much here because I'm not going to be spraying right up to the edge. And then when you do come to spray, I'm just going to do a little test. There we go. In fact, I'm going to put a piece of tape across the top there just in case of the overspray, because it does, I know, as I say, it's only a scrap job, but it does take away from the overall effect if you've got overspray everywhere. So just a little test there, and then just come in. I'm going to very, very lightly build up the paint, and I'm staying at 90 degrees to the tape. I'm not spraying into the tape or over the tape or whatever. I'm just staying 90 degrees to it and slowly building up the colour. Now this is Tamiya LP4, is it? I think it's LP4, matte white. And we can build this up slowly. Now the problem is with these white paints, they're all the same. They tend to be quite rainy. So, you know, at the same time as you're trying to keep it dry and not flooding it so it doesn't creep under the tape, you need to keep it kind of wet at the same time, if you know what I mean. It sounds crazy, but it's true. So there we are. Okay, so we've got that one done there. Let that go off and then I'll give it another go, because as you can see, you probably can't see on the camera, but it does need more. And then this one here, as you can see, we're just going to basically paint the white on here. And then on this one, I'm going to paint the white. I'm not going to go right out to the edge. So obviously here we have the benefit of not having, this is like a combination of the two. So this one here, you can have a complete white base, which gives you a great undercoat, if you like, for the yellow, because the yellow is going to go on the white beautifully. Here, you're going to have to build up the yellow because you've got the colour, but we're not going to have the build up on the edge. So here, on the outer edge, you're going to have a layer of white and a layer of yellow. So you're going to have a step. Here, you're only going to have a layer of yellow. Here, you're only going to have a layer of white, but every colour is going to be next to each other. So almost like with this one here, we're going to have the white and I'm going to lay the red on top of it. With this one here, the red will be next to the white, which will be next to the blue, if you know what I mean. But you will see the difference at the end, I can assure you. So I'm just going to spray some more white in there just to get some nice solid white colour. Spray some more white in there to get a nice solid white colour. Already I can see it's getting grainy. And then over here, if you imagine your model is in primer, you may well have pre-shading or whatever. And what I'm going to do is just basically paint an area white. This is roughly where the roundel is going to be. So that is absolutely stinking. I'm going to get on, finish this off now in the booth, and then I'll come back when it's dry and we'll show you the next step. Right, so about 15 minutes has passed since we painted that and it's sort of fairly dry. So just to go over it again, what we're doing, A has got a complete white base, B has got the centre only, C is just individual rings, and D is sort of doing it before we do the camouflage. And as you can see straight away, because we're not putting white over the camouflage, this area here, you probably can't see it on the camera, but this area here is like a pure white. This one here is a definite sort of grey. This one I've tried to build up to get the colour, which is what you will do if you're building your model. If you've got it in, you know, if it's a Hellcat in glossy blue, or if it's you know, whatever it is, if it's a German fighter and you're putting the crosses on the wings or whatever, you're always going to have white in there, and it's always going to be difficult to get that white to come through. And as you can see, as it dries, the actual colour underneath does bleed through. You could seal it first, but then again, that's another layer. And that's one of the reasons for doing this, is to not have to keep putting clear coats down for decals and stuff. We have to put a clear coat down. Some say you don't need to, I say you do. Clear coat down to get the decals down onto, and then another clear coat to seal them in for weathering and everything. So you're always building up and you're always running the risk of losing your fine detail. So so we've now got our whites down. So the next step now is to look at getting some colour in and I'm going to look next at doing the yellow. So I'm going to do the yellow on all of them. So what we're going to do here is put the mask back in. Now we've got this disc here. Now I can't just mask the white and blue because I can't physically pick up the white and blue and place it in the center. I need to put the whole thing in, so I've got the outer edge as a guide. Now a couple of little tips. The first thing I'm going to try, and I've never tried this before, I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to get this transfer tape and peel it off. As you can see, it's trying to lift the other rings off at the same time. Again, I'm going to get a steel rule. It's a nice flat surface that will hold it down and stop any distortion. Okay, so I'm going to put that down there, and I'm going to do the same on this one. So we'll pick the edge of that off of there. You probably can't see what I'm doing, and there's really no way I could ever show you what I'm doing, because unless I actually put the camera right down on the bench, that won't work. So I'm going to hold that all down. There we go. So that's all come up now with no distortion at all. What I could have done was done this first. So if you are watching this video and you want to try this method with A or B, you could do this first. If it works, we'll see if it works. So what I'm going to do is put this little 10mm disc in the center. It doesn't need to be dead center, it just needs to cover the white and the red areas. So I'm just going to put that there. There we go. And then we can put our transfer tape back on. Rub that down, same here. And hopefully what will happen is it will allow us to lift the outer two rings away, and the transfer tape to transfer tape doesn't stick as well as the transfer tape sticks to this, so it'll help us leave that center disc in place. Now the next thing I'm going to do is get a little square of masking tape and stick it on the edge here. Okay, just a little piece like that. And this is all what I've learnt from doing the last lot. So the reason I've put that on there is it's just a tiny little square, and the reason it's on there is it will help me lift the outer, because I've got to put the whole thing in, because I can only align it from the outside edge. If I don't put that piece of masking tape in there, I've got to get in there and I've got to dig the yellow out. With that there, I'll have an area where I can just get a knife under it and easily lift it out. So I'm going to get a knife under here and hopefully pick the whole thing out. Okay, so we've got the whole disc there. And then I'm going to place that in here and line it up. Now I'll probably have to go under a magnifier to do this. But it looks harder than it is. You're just basically getting it all lined up. And the secret is, if you have an area that is raised, okay, so I can see straight away, if you have an area that is raised, and one of the problems I got here is coming off the transfer tape. If you have an area that is raised, so basically what you're trying to do is sink this down into there. Okay, this is why I'm saying I think this method is the best. So what we're trying to do is put this tape in here and get it so it's gone in nicely. And I'm not going to press it down because I'm going to go under a magnifier and check it. And I'm going to just push this transfer tape down nice and firm on here, and then lift this out. Hopefully it will come away. The center wants to stay. There we go. And then again I'm going to put this in here. This should be easier to see because we've got the dark edge. Okay, I think that's gone in there nicely. And then with this one, with C, we're going to put this white disc back in. I call it the white disc because it's the mask that masks the white. And I can see that's over one way, so what I'm going to do is get my tweezers and just nudge it over. Okay, so what I'm going to do here with D, I've got these all in now and all centered up. What I'm going to do with D, I'm not going to use these frames, I'm just going to use this circle. And I've done the same here. I've put the 10mm disc in the middle and then put the transfer tape over the top. So I'm now going to come in with my knife, and what sometimes helps, if you can sort of roll. Do you know what, I'm not sure, this Tamiya 40mm tape, this stuff here, I'm not convinced this is good for transfer tape. It's not sticky enough. It's certainly with the one-man army stuff, it doesn't really tend to stick to it very well at all. So I would perhaps try using the ordinary masking tape. So we can get under there. Now hopefully this will lift the whole thing away. And it's leaving the centre behind. There we go. So now what we can do with this is, with our tweezers, we can position this on the model. Remember, this is going to be the side of your model. It's painted in grey primer. It may be pre-shaded. We put the white down, and now we're going to position this where we want it to go. So we're going to have it in line with that panel line there running fore aft, and we're going to have it level with that panel line on the back. And we're just going to push this down. I'm going to push the centre. I'm not pushing the outside, I'm just pushing on the centre, because what we're going to do now is lift this away, and hopefully what I want to do is just leave the white. But it wants to bring the blue as well. There we go. So yeah, it's not working very well. This transfer tape, this Tamiya tape is not good as a transfer tape. It doesn't hold everything together when the going gets tough. So we're going to have to play with that afterwards. But there we go. Perhaps we'll try another one using ordinary masking tape and see how that goes. Yeah, in fact I think I'm going to do that now, because in for a penny, in for a pound, we may as well see how it works, hadn't we? So we're going to remove this disc from here, and we're going to start again. You can see there's the little red disc has stayed on there. So remove all that, and I'm going to try making a disc from this stuff and see if it works better. Okay, so I've made a disc here. I'm not going to go into cutting circles. I know a lot of you want to know how to, you just look up circle cutter on Google. I could end up making a video that's 27 hours long, because it could be, what knife did you use to cut the masking tape? What blade did you use to lift the corner? What tweezers did you, it could go on and on and on. So this is covering the masking and nothing else. So I'm going to once again put this disc in the centre. In fact, I'm going to use, no I won't, I'll use this. No, I'm going to use this one off here because I've got one left on this one I'm going to use. So rather than having lots of bits of pieces of sheets left. So we use this one, okay? And then I'm going to put this mask, this has been cut from the ordinary 2-inch masking tape, and then we're going to rub that down nice and strong, and we're going to see how well it works. And it does seem to glue better. So we can lift this up. And exactly what I wanted to happen. I don't want it to stick very well to the centre. There we go. So we've got the whole thing off there. And we can now position this on our model just like we did just now. Get it lined up with that panel line on that rivet. What we can do is just push the centre down, and then we should be able to lift. Look at that, that's much better. You should be able to lift this off. There we go, that's much better. We'll put that on there for safekeeping like that. And all we've done there is left the white centre. We've got the white and the red in there. Okay, So now what we can do is spray around there with our yellow. This one here, okay, we've actually left this edge on here for lifting the tape up. So let's just see if we can. If not, I'm going to replace all these discs with the ordinary masking tape. We'll see how well this goes. And you see it wants to leave the blue down as well. So I think what I'm going to do is replace this transfer tape because it's just not sticky enough. You see this one's starting to lift already. So here we go, we've learnt something from this video. Don't bother with the 40mm Tamiya tape as a transfer tape, it's not sticky enough, but then in some instances you might not want it to be too sticky, so throw that away, lift off the disc, place the disc on the mask like so, and then the same on the other one, and we should be able to lift that mask away with ease. Let's give it another go. The trouble is you've got to push it down. There you go, the blue wants to stay behind as well. I don't want the blue to stay behind. I want the blue to come with it. I want the white to stay behind. There we go. Right. So it's not perfect, but it's much better. When we come to feed this in, you'll see that it makes life a lot easier if it all stays in shape. So there we go. Okay, so that's gone in there. So that is A. That one is D. And then here we're going to try and lift this one out as well. And again, I want the blue and the yellow to come. The blue wants to stay behind. So you can lift them out together, just like so. And again, we've got a little bit of misalignment, but we can sort that out off camera afterwards. So that's B. And now we've got to take away these little pieces of masking tape. And they aided us in getting the thing lifted. So now we've got the white and the red masked. What we need to do now is get one of these discs and put it in the centre. Otherwise, we might end up with a yellow line around where the red goes. Okay? So what with this one, we're going to remove the yellow. So I'm just going to take away the yellow, and that's it. So carefully pull it out, try not to rip it. It's probably going to stretch and distort. Okay, there we go. We can just put that down over there. Alright, so there we go. Now we can spray our yellow around the outside. We can spray the yellow around the outside here. We can spray the yellow around the outside here, and we can spray a band of yellow around here. And as you can see, this one, the yellow will be hard up against the edge on top of the white, and the blue will fade into it, or the blue will be feathered underneath the blue. This one here, the yellow will be hard up on the edge, but we've got to cover the green colour, and again it will feather underneath the blue. This one will just be yellow hard on both edges. Okay, so there we go. Right, I'm going to get on and get this done, and then I'll be back when I've painted the yellow. The yellow paint's been down for about 10 minutes, so it's probably dry enough. We shall see if it lifts, doesn't it? So what we've got to do now is replace all of the yellow masking on all of them. Now, this one here, the other thing I've done, this little 10mm disc, I've put sticky side to sticky side so that when we lift this transfer tape off, it doesn't pull the centre away. So what we need to do now is put this one in. Okay, I'm not bothering with the tape now because this one, the yellow, is going to stay in until the end. So what I'm going to do now is just try and get this lined up. and I'm probably going to do this off camera because it's very difficult to see because it's got yellow masking tape going into a yellow background. So I'm just going to replace all of these on here. Okay, another little mistake made here. I put that carrier, the transfer tape over. Of course now I can't see through to position it over that disc in the center. So what I've done is laid it down on its back and I've cut some diagonal lines across the center and then literally peeled the tape out of the center, as you can see. So if I was going to do this again now, I would probably use Tamiya tape on the outside in strips, so I left the center exposed, which is actually what I did the first time and forgot. So there we go. But anyway, as I say, when we finish this video, in the comments below you can sort of vote for which process you want to see done again, and we'll do just one of them and we'll do it with no mistakes, so it'll be like almost professional, or as professional as I can be anyway. So I've now got to fit this over there and get that on there nicely. Right, so that's all done now. So what we need to do now is remove the transfer tape from them all. Okay, so that one's coming off of there absolutely fine. We can see we've got that all nicely lined up. We can rub all that down. On B, this one should come away absolutely fine. And it's leaving the blue behind, so that's cool. It's leaving the center behind because we put that disc in there. So we can rub all that down, that's great. And then A, knife under there, lift that one out, and that one's coming out lovely as well, just like so. And there we go. So the next bit now, you can choose whether you do the red or the blue. Now, I'm going to choose the red. Oh well, I'll do the blue. I'll do the blue because I was going to do a bit of finagling, but no, I'll do the blue. So basically, what we're going to do now is remove the mask that is blue. If we can get a knife under it, there we go. So I'm going to take that one away. Okay, stick that over there. We're going to take this one away. So, no, we're going to take this one away because we'll do it in order, A, B, C, D, or D, C, B, A. You don't need to see this, do you? I'm just going to take those blue rings out of there and stick them on there. Right, so they're all out now. So we've got the blue ring out of there, the blue ring out of there, the blue ring out of there, and the blue ring out of there. So what we've got to do now is spray it blue. But obviously if we spray it blue, we're going to end up with a blue line around the outside. So I'm going to come on with some of my cheap masking tape and just mask off the area so that we don't get blue overspray everywhere. I just need one more piece, and there we go. And of course, the other beauty that I've just thought of in doing this one, this method here, if you do get some overspray somewhere, it doesn't matter because you haven't painted your model yet. Whereas with all the others, with these here, if you get some overspray on your camouflage, you've got to clean it up. So that's ready to go. Remember, we've got that disc in the circle to mask the red and the white. Okay, disc in there, disc in there. I haven't got a disc in there because basically this one is all about doing it wrong. Okay, in my opinion, I think this is the wrong way to go about it, and hopefully the end results will show that. So again, we've got a mask around here to cover this edge, because what you don't want is a blue band around the edge of the yellow, because remember, on this one, or on these three, the camouflage is already down, so anything you mess up here will be there on the finished model. I don't know why I use 6mm tape on that. It's a waste of Tamiya tape. There we go, that's that covered. And I'll just go around and do the same on that one. And then I'm going to paint these blue. I'm going to use Tamiya XF8 and then paint these blue, and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Okay, so now we've got the blue done. All we need to do now is replace the blue mask, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be just sort of roughly in position. except for, in this case, C. On C it needs to be perfect. So I'll do these under the microscope, or the magnifier, and then I'll come back. Right, they're back in. So now it's just a case of moving all the masking tape in to cover the blue to yellow interface and the yellow to the outside. So we'll get all this tape off and just move it in. Simple as that. Okay, and use it all again. Right, so now we're going to move the tape in. In fact, we need to get the tape off because we're going to do the red now. So we need to get that disc off the center as well. Let's get that one out of the way, and we're going to pull the red mask out. Just like so. And then we are going to mask the whole thing, just leaving that small hole in the center exposed. So that when we do the red, we don't get any red going anywhere else. And we're going to do that everywhere except for on this one, because as I've said, this one is, in my opinion, this one is doing it wrong. So I'm going to do the same on these as I've done on that one, and then I'll get the red paint back and we'll come back and see how it all looks. And there we have the red down. As you can see, we've got this masking tape all around the edge, so this can all come off now, making sure we don't lift any of the other mask away, just like so. Just get rid of that scraggy bit on the end. So as you can see now, we've got our yellow, blue, white and red on there, ready for the camouflage. And then here, we'll get this tape off of here the same. And what we could do now, if we wanted to, we could completely go on and unmask all three of these, because they are ready to go. Don't want to take that tape off there. Okay, so these are all ready to go now. You can completely unmask them and that's your finished product. But we'll look at that in a minute, because first we're going to look at doing the roundels. Now, this one here, obviously we haven't painted the camouflage yet, and we've got the outer edge there of the yellow. So what we need to do is cover up this, because otherwise when we paint the camouflage over, we run the risk of having camouflage colour getting into the gaps between the joints, and particularly over the red, because the red isn't masked. So I'm going to take one of these discs of this very low tack Tamiya 40mm tape and put that over there, give it a good rub down, and that will leave that mask. Now we've got that whole roundel masked, ready to put some camouflage colour or spray anything over it. Okay, these here, as I say, they're done, but I'm just going to put something over them to roughly cover them up so we don't get any overspray when we do the roundels. So we'll get a bit of this on here. In fact, that's not good enough, is it? We'll cover the whole thing. So we'll get some scraggy bits of tape here. We'll just cover the whole thing. I need a decent length of tape, please. There we go, that's that whole thing covered. And we'll do the same on that one up there. Just cover the whole thing. And that way we won't get any overspray when we come to do our roundels. Right, so let's look at these roundels. And basically I'm going to do the same thing again, but just with two colours. So these, let's get this over here, these will be known. In fact, I'm going to have to remove that piece of tape there as well, aren't I? So basically with the roundels, there's two ways of going. We can go this way and we can spray the blue base down first over a primered wing or whatever, and then we can go this way and we can put our circle down first, and we can spray the red and then we can replace the red and remove the mask and paint the blue. So we're going to do both. So first things first, I'm going to get the mask. No, I'm not. I'm going to paint the blue here first. I'm going to paint the blue, and then we will see, we'll get that base down, let that dry, and then we'll come back and do the same as we've done with this one. Right, so this one's F, so this is the one we're going to paint the blue base and then put the red on the top. This one here is E, and this is where we're going to do it the same as we did on these. So we've basically got to get one of these off of here, and I'm going to use them off of this sheet so I can use this sheet up. So what I'm going to do, these discs here, if you remember, I made these little discs, they're 10mm. I'm going to put that on there, sticky side up, and I'm going to struggle to put it down. In fact, the easiest thing to do is to get one of these transfer masks and stick this sticky side down in the middle, just like so. That's not sticky side down, is it, Nigel? It's sticky side up. Sticky side down in the middle, there we go. Right, and then what I'm going to do is position this over here. And what I'm hoping is I can lift this away. Okay, give that a good rub down. Going to lift up the bottom left hand corner. Get a little piece of masking tape and slide it underneath. And now I'm hoping I can lift this up and the centre will stay behind. There we go. Because what we've done is blocked the masking tape from touching that. Okay, so now we can position this one where we want it, and we can have it sort of just somewhere in here. It doesn't need to be anywhere special. Okay, and we can rub that down just like so, and then remove the transfer tape and leave everything there except for the red hole in the middle. Okay, now we can go around with bits of masking tape, but the other option for doing this is to take one of these, cut a hole in the middle, and now I can put this down over here. And if you remember before, I put all these little pieces of masking tape around to cover that outside edge. I don't need to with this one. I've gone over to the bloody centre, haven't I? Is anything going to go right in this video, guys? So what I'm doing is just making a one-piece mask, because what I don't want to do is have paint going into the line around there, so I end up with a red line around the outside of the blue. And then using our bits of scrap tape, we'll just come along and mask in here. In fact, I'm going to fit, we're going to do this one with F. Right, so with F, what we're going to do is use one of these circles here. So this is the actual roundel without a square box around it. So we're going to grab a piece of transfer tape, and this should be enough to hold its shape. This is the 32mm square one. Okay, and I'm going to lift the transfer tape, and hopefully, yes it does, it picks the mask up. And then we can do is put the mask down where we want it, so it's going to be roughly there. Give it a good old rub down, and then get the knife under here and lift this away just like so. Put a transfer tape back over there, get a knife or a point or something in here and remove the red, so that can go there, and then with bits of tape around the outside we can just mask off so we don't get red around the edge of the blue. Just put a long piece down there, and we get a long piece across there because we don't want red overspray on the camouflage. Remember, that's the finished camouflage we got there. Another piece in there, just like so. Need another piece across the bottom. just like that. Okay, and that should do us for now. Just get a piece in there. This over here isn't really necessary because, as I say, it's all overspray. Doesn't really matter because it's just primer, but it's good practice to not have it there anyway, especially with it red, because it's, as we know, red's a bit difficult to cover, especially if you've got like a duck egg green underneath or something, or a sky blue. Right, so now what we're going to do is spray the centres of these red and just go from there. The red is down. I've removed that mask that's covering the join line in the tape there. So now we just need to cover this red on this one, just roughly, and then what we're going to do is take this mask here, which is the centre part that we left on the sheet, and we are going to fit this in here, just like so. I'm going to get another magnifier and get it properly fitted. Alright, so now we've got that done, we can now remove this large disc here and paint the blue. Now this is probably going to tear. Oh no, it's not, it did before. So we're not going to use that again, we're just going to stick that up there out of the way. What you could do now, just in case you've got any mismatch, you could go over and spray that red, okay? But I'm not going to, because I'm going to rely on the tape. I would much rather use this method anyway. And what we need to do now is spray this area here blue, and then we're done. That's that mask finished, and all of the masks are finished. Okay, we are done. So now we can remove this masking from here and all around. And all it remains to do now, just to finish this off nicely, is to do the camouflage on here. Jess is about to start barking, so I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm just going to do the camouflage. The one thing I need to do first is cover up. I need to cover up the centre of here so we don't get any paint on there. So that's that. And then I'm going to remove that tape from there. And then what we can do is get our camouflage down. And what I'm going to do is, with this tape here, I am going to just cover the blue on here so that we don't get green or brown paint on that. Okay, so there we are. So that's that covered. So I'm going to do the camouflage now on here, and then you'll see the difference properly in doing it this way or that way. I personally far prefer this way. Right, see you in a second. Okay, so we got there. Right, so now we are ready to unmask everything and have a look. I think at the beginning of this video, which was about 4 hours ago for me, I said that I was going to do stenciling. I'm not going to cover stenciling in this video. What I'm going to do, as I've said a few times, you guys can choose which one you want to see these done properly, so we can concentrate, we get the camera in nice and close, and we'll do just one of them properly, and then we'll do the stencils in that video as well. So basically we are ready to unmask everything. So we can remove all this garbage tape here, we can remove all our one-man army masks, we can remove absolutely everything, and I'll keep the camera on because I know that people do like to see unmasking getting done. Not this type of unmasking, but when we start removing the proper stuff. You can see here the paint is lifting. As I said, any paint lifting, any problems, they are not an issue of one-man army, they are an issue of me trying to do all this too quickly. As I've already said on a number of occasions, if you were doing this on your model, you would at least leave the paints to dry, you know, in between masking for probably 2 or 3 hours at least. I've been leaving them for 10-15 minutes. So if we start to see paints getting lifted, then so be it. So A, B, C, D, E and F. Let's just mark these so that you don't get confused, because I know a lot of you will want to know what's going on. Right. So let's start with A. Now A, where's my knife gone? Knife is hiding, as are the tweezers. Where have the tweezers gone? They're hiding in the paint booth for some unknown reason. Right, so A was basically we painted the whole base white and then we built up the other colours around it. So we can remove this outer and we can put the letter A here. And the first thing I've noticed I've done, I lifted that corner. What I should have done was lifted this corner, because you can see it's so much easier to lift because of that little piece of masking tape. So you can see there we've actually got the yellow. Okay, now I can come along the top here and remove the disc off the top, the yellow disc, sorry. And then I can, using my knife, I can remove this one. Again, I've just scratched the paint. That's because it's all very soft still. And then we've got the white one in the centre and the red inside that. So there you go. You can see there we've got A is done. You can probably hear, you can probably even see there is quite a step around the outside of that. That is not my preferred option. B was basically the same as A, but without bringing the white out to the edge. So we shouldn't have that great big thick edge of the white and yellow paint building up on each other. And there we go. And as you can see, probably as you can hear, you don't have that great big step, but it's nice to have the white under the yellow because you get that real sort of yellow coming through then. But here it's okay, it's not so bad, but there's a step there, but it's not as big as that one. Okay, so C, this was my least preferred method, and I wouldn't recommend anyone doing this because I don't think it comes out very nice at all. So what we've done here is just basically we put the whole mask in place, then we removed the white and we sprayed the white. Then we remove the yellow, replace the white. Then we remove the yellow, sprayed the yellow, replace the yellow. Remove the blue, sprayed the blue, replace the blue. And then remove the red and painted that. But I don't like this method, and hopefully you will see why. There we go. If you notice on there are ridges because when you paint with masking tape, you actually form. It's almost like, I could find a blank piece of paper. It's almost like if you imagine the masking tape as like a wall either side, and what you do is you form a kind of trough in there, so it's building up on the tape. So that's why you can hear. That one's quite rough. So that one's B, and that one's C. Okay. So, and you can also see on here, when you look at these, look at how crisp the lines are between the white, the blue and the red and the yellow. When you look on there, it's nothing like as crisp. You also run the risk, and you can see it there, or am I seeing things? I'm sure I can see. You do have a demarcation line there, it's like where the twos have crossed. So I wouldn't recommend that method. This is the method I would recommend, D. And this is the method I will be using on my models going forward. So that disc is going to come off the top of there. And then we're going to use our knife. I'm going to pick up. I should have left that disc on, shouldn't I? I might have picked the others up, though I doubt it because they're not very sticky. I'm just going to remove these masks from here. Now, if you remember with this one, we put the base of white down first, then we put the white mask in the middle with the red mask over it. Okay, so we painted the white, then we put the white mask in the middle, painted the yellow, masked the yellow, painted the blue, masked everything, painted the red. And you can see on there, it's smooth, it's crisp, there's no, like on here you've got this dodgy edge around here, you can see around in front of my finger there where the blue meets the yellow, you've got this dodgy edge. Listen here, I mean, what little fingernails I have got. I mean, you can see the edge on that one. That is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That is my recommended method. And as I say, it's just my recommended method. Now, when we come to the wing roundels, again, that one is the blue base painted down and then the red painted over the top of it. So we've got a very slight step between the red and the blue, but it's only one layer. And then this one here, we actually put the surround down and painted the blue. Sorry, we left the surround in and painted the red, and then we put the red back in and painted the blue. So with the wing roundels, you still get that step, but I still think this is much nicer than that one. You can compare the two there, you can see them both. The only risk here is, as you can see there, I haven't gone big enough with the blue. So I've got this faded edge. So there we go. So with these here, the fuselage roundels we'll call them, D is by far the better result. Another reason for that is this paint is still soft, so I'm going to be a bit careful, and I'm going to use a 1500 sanding stick. If I wanted to sand these in and blend them in, okay, that's it. That's sanded in. That is completely smooth. If I put anything over that now, that's going to be it. It's fine. Same with this one. Okay. This one here, a bit more of a step in there because we've got the junction between the two. And you can also see there in front of my finger, there's the mark. So this is the far preferable way to go. Now, this one here is the one to not use if you want to sand your mask back, because what happens here, when I sand it, you can see what's happening around the outside edge. You've got a line of white coming through, whereas with this one you won't. Okay, with this one you can sand this one, but I just think it just makes that demarcation line there even more prominent. So honestly guys, if you can do your roundels before you do your camouflage, I would seriously recommend version D. If you have painted your model and you want to do it, I would recommend version B. And the only difference there with those two, as I say, I painted it white first. I put the whole circle down. Go back and look at the beginning of the video. I put the whole circle down, painted the white first, but didn't go right out to the edge. Okay? And as I say, if you want to weather your roundels back and make them look a bit bleached, a bit worn or whatever, you know, you can see there the yellows, the blues coming through the yellow, whatever, which I can't understand because there's no blue under the yellow. It's probably just depositing blue paint on the yellow. So we give them a wash. There we go. But you can see now that one there is absolutely, totally and utterly smooth. Whereas this one here, it's still got the step, and if I continue to sand it, I'll just do one side. You can see we've got this, the graininess coming through the blue, which looks great, but you've got that white around the edge there. Alright, so there you go. So as I say, we're going to call that a day there. As I say, in the comments below, you can always ask the question, tell me which one you want me to see. I'll do another video, and I'll only do one of these masks, okay, properly, just as one, so you can concentrate on what I'm doing rather than me darting around all over the place. And we'll do the stencils as well. So let me know in the comments which one you want to see, A, B, C or D. Okay, E and F are, by the way, because they're just the same thing using less colours. So let me know what you want to see, A, B, C or D. Okay, and thank you for watching. And as I say, comments down below, questions, whatever. But please bear in mind, if you're of the mind to comment that this is very, very slow and drawn out and it's boring, that's absolutely fine. You can hit fast forward. This has taken me about 4 hours to make, and it's probably going to take me about another hour to edit. So please bear that in mind when you leave your comments. But I just wanted to do a video on how to use these things rather than string little bits on the end of every other video I do. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye for now.